that if you don't know how to do it, you always reach up,
Hmm.
right? We always reach up because if we're in a valley, we for sure can't reach laterally to those that we're doing life with, right? Those college students, they couldn't help me out. They were in the same valley as me. And so God put mentors in my life that I could reach up to. And they taught me so much about life that I needed to know at that age, right? At 18. I think God always puts people in our life that are 5 years, 10 years, 20, or 30 years ahead of us. And their job is to lift us up, right? Pull us over that. So that's what I was talking about earlier, where I really feel like God's hands of protection were around me. And He placed women in my life that would mentor me as a young woman, as a young business owner, and teach me the next steps in life, right? In my faith, in people skills, and in business.
Welcome to the Kingdom Minded Mompreneur, where we, Becky
and Monique, your new biz besties, both busy moms just like you.
We're here to talk all things network marketing, mom life, and how to truly live out your calling. We'll be dropping 2 episodes each week to help you, the busy mompreneur, know the exact strategies to build both your business and your home. You'll hear each week from one of the top network marketers on their best tips for what's led to their success and what's working now.
We know that you're here because you are called to something more. You have a desire to succeed in both your business and at home, and we are going to teach you how. If you love what you hear here on the podcast and want to be one of our success stories, join us inside our community, the Kingdom Minded Mompreneur, where we provide a daily social media action plan, additional resources, kingdom coaching, and more. Click the show notes for the link to join. So let's get into the episode. Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Kingdom Minded Mompreneur with myself, Monique Scribb, and Becky Baxter. And today we have the true honor of getting to hear from Cherisse Hixson. Hello, Cherisse.
Hey.
Welcome. We are so excited. When Becky and I were kind of planning out our lineup and we were talking about you, we were just so excited that our audience is getting to hear from you because you have such a unique story. So for those of you who do not know Cherisse, she is in Mary Kay. She has been in Mary Kay for 25 years. And she started when she was 18 years old. So, which is such a unique story, you know, starting in college and really seeing the opportunity at a young age. And since that time, she has been top 20 director 3 times in her company. She has earned 12 cars in her company. She has a long list of accolade after accolade after accolade that she has achieved. But beyond that, she is a wife to her husband, Matt. She is a mom of 2 boys, Drew and Brock. She lives in Memphis, where I live. And so selfishly, I'm loving that Cherisse is local. And yeah, that is a little bit about her. And she's a child of God. And so, Cherisse, welcome to our podcast.
Thank you. I'm so excited to be here, y'all. What an honor. Thank you for letting me spend this time with you.
Oh man, there's like so many different directions that we could go in this conversation. My brain is like firing off questions. I think the first thing that I really want to hear about is just kind of this like, what is your elevator story, right? Like if you're in the elevator, we'll give you about 25 floors, okay? So maybe not like 3 floors, right? Not a like 30-second pitch, but like tell people kind of the overview of your journey, like how you came into this industry and just kind of what has transpired as a result.
Okay. Wow. All right. Well, I'm picturing a very large building, so that's exciting. And I'm like, okay, so we're just gonna all be in the elevator together. All my girlfriends were just in the elevator, so I love it, right? Um, so my story started really my Mary Kay journey. Gosh, at 3 or 4 years old, my mom started her Mary Kay business when I was very young.
Okay,
And
that's fun. I didn't know that. That's a fun thing.
yes, she started using Mary Kay when she was 15 years old, y'all. What? And it's so cool to look back because my mom used Mary Kay My grandmother used Mary Kay. My mother-in-law, future mother-in-law, right? She did too. It was just like, wow, okay, all these people. And so I grew up in an entrepreneurial household. My parents were entrepreneurs. My grandparents were entrepreneurs, y'all. And so it surrounded me. And so I just always watched my mom work. I helped her. I was always like cleaning her office and organizing. And then even in high school, was calling her customers. And I was always wanting to earn money. So yeah. So then in college, as we all do, right? We all go to college and we are broke college students. Broke. Like if there's a word more than broke, that was me. And I also had picked up from Memphis where we'd moved here when I was 11. So I knew a lot of people. And I was Starkville, Mississippi. And y'all, this was 20 years ago, and it was not the cool place to be. And there was nowhere to work. And I had searched all these places, and I couldn't find anything that would give me flexibility. I couldn't give anything that would give me freedom to design my own schedule. And I really couldn't find anything to pay me, what it was going to be worth, because I thought, I'm going to school spending all this money. I have got to make good grades. And so I really was kind of at a crossroads of what in the world can I do so I can support myself in college, but give me freedom and flexibility. And what I didn't know I needed was friends. I thought I just needed cash, but God knew better. I needed friends and I needed, mentoring and discipleship, and God gave it all to me. Kind of in that form that I'd grown up in, but I sure was like, I'm not doing that. I'm not doing that. That is my mom's to do, not mine.
That's so funny how we're like resistant to things that maybe our parents have done. We're like, we want to be our own person.
Yes. 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 And I was going to school for elementary ed because I was 18. I didn't know what in the world I wanted to be. But I thought, well, what do I love? I love teaching. I love serving. I love encouraging. I should be a teacher. I should be a teacher, right? I'm like,
which all of those qualities apply to your business.
Exactly. I didn't see that, but yeah. And so I called home and told my mom all these sad stories of places I had gone to interview and that they wanted me to work so much. And I was like, I don't know what I'm going to do. I don't know what I'm going to do. And she said, I know what you should do. And I said, no, I am not doing that. And we hung up the phone. And because mamas know best, right, y'all? Like a week later, this pink box showed up at my dorm that said, welcome to Mary Kay. I was like, okay, which is really a blessing because I know that if given the choice, I totally was letting fear and doubt dictate my brain. So I couldn't see it because I was too scared. I didn't know anyone. I didn't have any money. I never ran a business. But my mom knew I had the work ethic and she knew I had a need, and in my case, when I was hungry enough, I'd figure it out. So yeah, that's really where it began, is just out of a major need for many things. And it became a beautiful protection that I didn't know until looking back now when I look at that.
That is incredible. That's incredible. So, fast forward, now we look at you and we see all of these accomplishments and achievements that you have been able to do. But take us back to some of the struggles. Like, what are some of the things that you feel like have been hurdles that you've had to overcome, maybe some mindset blocks that you've had to overcome in order to get to where you are today?
Okay. Wow. So many. And here's the cool thing, and hopefully encouraging thing to all the listeners. So when I reflect back on 25 years, I mean, also everybody, let's think of who were we at 18? Who were we in our 20s, 30s, and I might be in my 40s now. I don't think that we ever really arrive, and those fears and those doubts that we struggle with, we don't actually ever get over it. We're like, I'm never scared. I'm never afraid. We always have that. It never goes away. However, we grow that muscle that teaches us how to overcome those mindset blocks. We learn how to self-coach ourselves, right? And so those are really important things that we don't know at first. And so we have to be given the time to exercise that muscle and strengthen that. So, man, okay, thinking back to 18 years old, I didn't know anyone. I had never run a business. I actually didn't even have a checking account. I didn't know how to balance a checkbook, which nobody does anymore. And I was new. I was new in that area. I had just moved to this town. So really everything that could have stopped me could have. But again, I had a need. I had a need and I had a desire. I love to learn. I love to learn. I still love to learn. And I love to learn then. I wish I would have put it to better use in college. However, I did not. I was more excited about making friends and building community. But again, God used that. And so the fear and the doubt was real and the struggle of that. But I did learn, thankfully, through training, that if you don't know how to do it, you always reach up, right? We always reach up, because if we're in a valley, we for sure can't reach laterally to those that we're doing life with, right? Those college students, they couldn't help me out. They were in the same valley as me. And so God put mentors in my life that I could reach up to. And they taught me so much about life that I needed to know at that age, right? At 18. I think God always puts people in our life that are 5 years, 10 years, 20 or 30 years ahead of us. And their job is to lift us up, right? Pull us over that. So that's what I was talking about earlier, where I really feel like God's hands of protection were around me. And he placed women in my life that would mentor me as a young woman, as a young business owner, and teach me the next steps in life, right? In my faith, in people skills, and in business skills. And he always does that. And that's just his beautiful hand of protection as a good father, that's how he carries us through to the next season, right?
Yeah. I love that so much. And I think what's interesting for those of you listening, you might be thinking, well, that sounds great, but I don't have that or whatever. And I always think about this hilarious like story. I guess it's kind of like a parable where it's like this man is, it's like flooding in his neighborhood. He gets on the top of his roof and he's just like sitting up there and he's like, God, please save me from this, like, torrential flooding, like whatever. And God sent, someone pulls up and they're in a canoe. And he's like, come down here. Like, let me come on with me in this canoe and let's go. And he's like, no, God will save me. Right.
Yes.
And then someone pulls up on a jet ski and he's like, hey, come on. And the water just keeps rising and rising and rising and rising. And the guy's like, no, God will save me. And then, the person in the boat drives up and he's like, yo, dude, like you're about to die. Like you need to come on and get in this boat. And he's like, no, God will save me. And he dies, right? And gets to heaven. And God's like, sir, like I tried and I chased after you and I chased after you. And he just completely missed out that we have to still take action, right? Like you had to be obedient. Yes. It was clearly obvious, right? God was giving you multiple signs like, hey, I've got the framework. I've laid the path for what I believe you could step into, but you had to still be obedient, which as a result of the obedience, right? You've created this beautiful life, but man, 25 years in the industry, nowadays it seems like people are so easily distracted, right? Like we don't even have the same attention span as a goldfish. It's like ridiculous.
I know.
How distracted people get. And so I would just love, you were talking about exercising the muscle of like consistency. And I just want to hear a little bit about that. Like, how has that transpired for you to show up every single day through the mundane, the messy, the magical, like what has that looked like to build a career, truly a career, 25 years in the same company? That is really powerful. I would love for you to speak to that.
Okay. Thank you. Right. It makes me think of Monique and I were talking about this long obedience in the same direction, right? It's how God grows us, right? But also when you were sharing it, maybe I love that. I've heard that story and I love that story of the boat. Like, come on, get in the boat. I'm trying to help you. It makes me think of that it was not easy. It was not easy. So remember when I started, that was, don't laugh, y'all. That was before We use the intranet.
Right. Yeah.
I think I had that classic old Nokia that
Yes, girl. I had a zebra cover on my Nokia. Okay.
Yes.
Yes.
It's like you have a cell phone, but you don't use it. It was before that. And y'all, in my town at the time, there were no women who could mentor me in person. Okay. Because that was before we learned this. And so every Monday after I got done with class, y'all, I would drive. What is this? The drive from? I don't know, 2.5 hours. Maybe it was 3. I would get in my car after class. I would drive to Memphis 3 hours every Monday for training. We had our like girls' nights, and we would all gather, and we had clients come, and we'd give them makeovers, and we'd learn. And mind you, I'm again a student who has 0 money. And I didn't even know if my car would make it. I just prayed the whole way there. And I remember asking a friend, I said, I know I need to be in your space. She was my mentor. I know I need to be in your space. I need to learn whatever it is, but I don't have any money even to do this. And she goes, I tell you what, you come early, you set up my meeting. I will pay you to set up my meeting. You can learn, you can bring your clients, then I'll pay you to tear it down. And I would have enough money to drive back to Starkville to get back to class.
Wow.
Y'all, it was like, I could have said, I don't have the money. I don't have the time. That was 6 hours round trip. Every single week. I did that for about 6 months. I don't even know. Could have been a year. But I knew that I had to reach up. I knew that I needed to learn from the women who had gone before me. And I wasn't going to make excuses. I was eager to learn. And so I think in our day of technology now, wow, we can learn from women at the push of a button through a podcast. We can learn from women on Zoom. And then we, of course, can still gather in person. So we want to posture ourselves to think, how can I learn from the women who are where I want to be spiritually, emotionally, relationally, and financially? And make ourselves available to learn from them, but also to remember not to take advice from women we wouldn't trade places with in all those areas, right?
Ooh, yes, sister. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So making sure that we are always learning, right? School is never out for the pro. School's never out for the pro. Always be learning and reaching up.
So as you have had 25 years, I just keep, I'm kind of stuck on that. I'm like, oh my goodness, like just the longevity that you have had when you look back on that. So you say learning, looking up, are there any other things that come to mind that you think this is what I contribute being in this industry for such a long time too?
Okay. Well, speaking back to also Becky, your question about consistency, I think that sometimes that can be overlooked. Now, for all of us, I am sure y'all and your listeners, we all love to learn, or we wouldn't be on a podcast, right? And so we've all learned the different personality assessments, right? Have y'all heard of the DISC? Yes, I love that one. So I am a classic S personality, right? Long obedience in the same direction. I love consistency. I love steadiness. I love, my family, serving, all of that. But I also love, like, if you can break a goal down into bite-sized steps, and if it can be clear, and if I can just refine it, I can do that. And I remember as a consultant, them saying, having a consistent goal of how many women you want to get in front of every month. And I remember, like, whether at the time it was like, how can you get in front of 30 women every month in, month out, month in, month out, month in, month out, because that is how you build relationships. That is how you share your story. That is how you build relationships. And I remember thinking and feeling, having a choice. I could be very overwhelmed, or I could focus on that one thing. And I thought, I'm going to do it. I'm going to focus on one thing every month. And that one thing is seeing 30 faces, if you will. And that can be applicable in anything. 30 people that you can be around. Nowadays, you could do even more because of the influence of the internet. And so I remember thinking, okay, so I did that for many, many years. And so today everyone laughs, like, everyone in the city of Memphis. I'm like, yeah, well, 30 faces times 25 years is a lot of people. And God has used that in such a beautiful way to build so many friendships and relationships that I literally have done life with.
I love that. Oh my goodness. And I'm just thinking as you're saying that, like I can't even imagine the conversations, the stories, the things people told you, the mentorship, just how many other things beyond, doing someone's skincare, beyond that, are you able to really do life with people, build relationships with people? Cherisse, I think one thing that is such a skill that you have is you are such an encourager. Like you see things in other people and you call out those things in those people. And so I'm sure as you're in front of those 30 people every month, that's part of that. You're also very servant hearted. And I think that comes with that also is, you get joy from serving other people and pampering other people. And I can see why 25 years later, you've had, so much success in your business. So it's obvious that you are very strong in your faith. How does that play out when it comes to your business?
Love that question. Thank you. I love too that the values of our company, when Mary Kay started the company over 60 years ago, y'all, think of that. Let's just go back to that. 60 years ago, women could barely start a business.
Yeah, she was a pioneer. I mean, I
Right?
think we can all agree. Like yeah. She
So,
she is one of the biggest blessings to this industry.
so very much, and Mary Kay was named the greatest female entrepreneur in American history. Oh my goodness. And, look at the trials that she had to walk through, but um, that she knew 60 years ago, if I could start a business where women can work by the golden rule, where women can put their faith first, their family second, and their career third, that she said, if I could do that, I would. And she chose skincare because it's something that you can get together with a woman. You can hear their story and you can help her feel good on the outside, but you're really helping change her on the inside, right? Because we all know that, like we can do our hair and we can put makeup on, but it's the overflow of our heart that really is what radiates on all of us. And so, yeah, I love that that's really what I've gotten to do. And so I get to look at every time I get together with a woman as how can I create an experience for her? An experience where she can come, whether she's coming by herself or whether she's bringing girlfriends. How can I create an experience where she can press pause for a little while and come and rest? Because as women, we serve all day long. We serve our families, we serve our clients, we serve all the time. Women never get to just be served. And to be able to come in and feel gorgeous, but more than anything, have someone speak life into them. And so when they leave, they feel like they can conquer the world. They're looking good, feeling good. And again, it doesn't matter what industry that we're in, y'all. That is, God has given us whatever business it is as a vehicle to point others back to Him, right? Whether it's your business or whether it's your life or whether it's your family, our job as women, as Jesus followers, as Christ followers, is to always say, it is my job today to point others back to Jesus. And so we can give that experience to allow women to slow down, to pause, to rest, to be still, and to speak life into them. And to build those relationships. That's really what all of us are doing, using our businesses as a vehicle and a way for God to use us.
I love that so much. I just think it's interesting. Your heart is so evident in what you're doing. And I would imagine, from the outside looking in, I could say that has contributed 1000% to the success that you've had. But, I feel like we kind of like skipped over, right? All the accolades and all the recognition and all the things that you have received. And even like, we're watching you on Zoom. I can see some of them in the background, like some of the awards and stuff. And I would just, I know like that is obviously not what it's all about, right? That's just like a piece of the story, a part of the story. But I do think from someone who has received so much success within their company and awards and earning all the things, I would love to know if you were to give someone like, tactical advice, like what do you think has contributed to the success and like earning all of these things. You know, for someone who's like, okay, what's your like best piece of advice, you know, to really stepping into that success that they desire in their company?
Mm-hmm. Hmm. All right, Monique's going to know the answer to this. I think that all of it, you guys, it starts with our mindset. It starts with, I've heard it said, the 6 inches between our ears. Because we can teach you all the things to do, do this, focus on this, have a this date planner, organize your time this way and this way. We can give you all these practical steps you can go do them. However, if your mindset and your belief is not there, then we cannot move any further. So we have to make sure that we are intentional about what we're putting into our mind and our hearts and our bodies, right? We have to be functional, right? Sleeping, eating, taking good care of ourselves so that we can steward that well. And so that all those other tools that we could teach you, right? How to book, sell, recruit, all those things, those are great. But if your belief is not there, then we can't move you forward.
Yeah, that's so good. So, Cherisse, you have a team, and I know this is off script here about leadership, but I just hearing you talk, I'm like, I would love to hear a little bit about your team dynamic and what you've learned as you have stepped into leadership.
Mm-hmm. Oh, great question. What have I learned as I've stepped into leadership? I was thinking about that this morning, that 2 things. Mary Kay Ash would always teach us this. Speed of the leader is the speed of the gang. And that I would never ask my team to do something I am not doing myself. Many times we can think, well, I can lead from my desk. I can lead from my computer. But really what women want to see, or others want to see, they want to see you leading beside them. So don't stand out in front and teach me what to do, but link arms with me and let's walk together.
I love that. I love that so much. Yeah, because it's like I've heard it the same, a different phrase, pace of the leader is the pace of the pack. It's the same, same thing, same concept. And it's just so true. I mean, I can even look back in my time in the industry and when I was having phenomenal, like high success and all, receiving all the things, is because I was not only were all the people behind me and, with me and all the things doing similar things, right? But like I was doing the thing. I was walking the walk, talking the talk. Yeah, that's such solid advice because it's just that's just how it is. I mean, people, and plus it builds trust and authority. And so then when there does come a time when you're like, hey, we're going to change things up, or like the industry, as you have obviously experienced, has changed astronomically, right? Through the years, social media, Facebook, all these things came onto the scene. And I'm sure, what was that like, right? Because I guess because that advice that you just gave us probably played a huge role in the trust that they have in you as a leader. And so when it came time to say, hey, let's try this new thing or this new way of working business, how did that feel? What did that look like?
Oh, yes. Okay. So it also made me think of Becky, the quote that we've all heard. But Mary Kay said it beautifully. She said, the best way to lead is by example.
Yeah.
Always.
And
right. And so, So speaking of how did COVID hit? And all of us, we're like, wow. What is happening? At first it's like, no big deal. 2 weeks. We got this. We can do it. And I remember all of us like, okay, I'm like, I can make care packages. I can send the love to.
Of course you did.
Of course. Right. Oh my gosh, there's so many funny stories I can tell you all about COVID. I mean, I had ship shoppers, that would come bring your groceries. Yes. You better believe I was like, girl, you get a care package, you get a pamper pack. I was like, Oprah, you get a care package, care package. Everybody got a care package. I mean, because I thought, how can I love those coming to my house? I couldn't leave my house. I couldn't leave my house. I hadn't really learned how to, be on Zoom and all that. And so I thought, well, go love on the UPS man who's bringing those Amazon packages. We're going to love on everybody that came to my house, yard men, it didn't matter. You're going to get loved on. Because I didn't know what else to do. And then I remember thinking, okay, this is not going away. Oh my goodness. Talk about feeling ill-equipped, right? I'd never used Zoom ever. And one of my clients, she said, Cherisse, not a big deal. I use Zoom all the time. I can teach you how to do it. I said, please do. And I remember shaking in my boots. I had done my very first Zoom party. I was sweating like brand new, like I was a brand new consultant. I'm like, I don't know what I'm doing. And so I think, again, embracing things that are hard, going back to that mindset. We have two choices. You can think you can, or you think you can't. Mary Cash would say, either way, you're right. So what are you thinking about, right? And so I remember thinking, okay, I can do hard things. I can do hard things. I can learn new technology. I'm going to lean into this and just having fun with it. And then I realized, oh my gosh, I'm not having to go anywhere. My boys are in the other room. I didn't have to get a babysitter, right? I didn't have to get a babysitter, and I could serve more women. I remember thinking, okay, this is really hard, but this is amazing. I don't know if I'm going to go back to the old way, right?
Yeah. So I even think this could be an interesting, thing I'd love to get your opinion on is, there is this dynamic of network marketing where it's face to face, in person, and that really was the original way, the old school way of doing it. And then there's this current, here we are in 2024, where the majority, I would say probably 95% of the things that people do in the network marketing space is online. And so there is the balance of the two. And so how was that for you? Like, how was it? And even I guess now, we're doing both, you're doing both.
Yeah.
What was that like?
I think that none of us have it figured out yet, right? Don't you feel like you're like, okay, I'm in a groove. That was good. That was good. And then the next month you're like, let's try this. And so I think that being open and trying new things every month, like this month, this worked well. Next month, let's try this and let's weave it. I think we're always kind of building that tapestry. That I think that's always evolving as moms, right? As soon as you find yourself in a groove as a mompreneur, you're like, yes, oh, this is awesome. And then someone gets sick and you're like,
no, yeah.
Right? It's like that Friends episode of The Pivot. You're like, pivot. Me, I'm such an S and I love routine. I love constant. And then God just keeps teaching me, you need to just open your hands and surrender, sister, because things are always changing. So I think, Monique, that is still evolving for me because I love the virtual, but I love the relational. And I have been learning too over the last probably 4 or 5 months, y'all, we are created to be in community and we are created to be knee to knee, toe to toe with people. Like that is how God uses us. And so as much as we love technology and we continue to use it, and we will, there is nothing that will replace that personal space of being with someone. Our bodies need it. Our hearts need to be in relationship and in community with others. And so though we can use this space, we must not neglect meeting together.
Yeah.
Right?
I think that's really solid advice. I mean, I think there's so much power in the connection and the networking and the service and the community and just the bonds that are formed that in itself creates longevity, right? Like that creates trust, that creates the consistent efforts because people want to be a part of community. They want to be a part of somewhere they feel like they belong. And I love that. Because I think the most successful business owners are successful because they are constantly evolving. They're constantly trying to say like, it's like that audit, like start, stop, continue, right? And it's like, when you're not in the corporate world, you have to do those self audits. You have to say like, hey, what's working well? Like what should I probably get rid of that's not income producing and not really helpful or beneficial?
Right.
So speaking through this lens of you have been in this industry for, we keep bringing it up. You're like, okay, guys, I get it. 25 years for such an incredible career and continuing to grow. I would love to know, as you've watched things change, what do you feel like you would tell someone? Like, what advice would you give someone who is maybe stepping into the industry today? Like, if you have someone joining your team today, what would you share with that person?
Great advice. Okay, let's think. Number one, I would affirm them for taking that step of starting their own business, because it's something that you get to build. It's the business you're building. It's what you're teaching your kids. And not sometimes, probably all the time, it might not necessarily just be about the business, y'all. It could be what you're teaching those that are watching you in your family, right? There are little people and big people in our household, and they're watching us. So getting started and never quit. And I don't just mean that, I mean that mainly for yourself. Don't quit on yourself. And don't quit before the magic happens and before the miracle happens. Many times in my 25 years, I have watched women start. Maybe they started a business with me, or maybe they started other businesses. And I watched them get started, and I got excited, and I championed them, only to watch them give up on themselves in 6 months. And I thought, bummer. You hadn't even laid the groundwork. You hadn't even cultivated that, right? Like, God uses us in these hard situations and circumstances to refine our character. And just because it's not easy doesn't mean it's not meant to be. It's because he is cultivating in you, and he is refining you and producing something that is pure, right? Like, God puts us through the fire to refine our character, and it produces perseverance, and it produces character. And so the tough times are definitely not a sign of, oh, that means I shouldn't be doing this. No, it just means, what is God teaching me in this situation? So I would say, get started and don't quit. Don't quit on yourself, and give it time. Give it time. The first year of any business is just a training ground. I mean, it really is. There's so much to learn. And that would be the same whether we started, working anywhere. So I really feel like your first few years are just a beautiful foundation being laid, and then to continue leaning in and to continue learning.
Oh, that is so good. And I love what you said. Just because you have tough times, it does not mean you need to quit. I think that's so true. So many times people think the second it gets hard, that's a sign of something. And really, it's a sign that you need to lean in. I was talking about this yesterday on my social media. Like, when you have a call, sometimes the enemy's like, let me try to take this person out, right? Like, before you even plant the seed, before you even water the seed, you let go of it. And so I love that you said that. And so for someone who's listening, who maybe they're at that point where they're frustrated, or they're wanting to give up on themselves, or they have self-doubt, going back to that mindset, like self-doubt, insecurities, whatever that they feel like is keeping them from following through with their business, take that as encouragement to keep moving forward. So, Cherisse, one of the things that we love asking our guests is about the phrase kingdom-minded mompreneur. And we would love to know, what is your definition of a kingdom-minded mompreneur?
I love it. I think we talked about this in the beginning, but I really think staying kingdom-minded is such a perfect way that we start our day, correct? Our job as women first, as wives, as moms, as friends, and as business owners, is to always ask ourselves, how am I pointing others back to Jesus? How can I use this day to point others to his face? Not what I have to say. What does God's truth say? What does he have for us? How can I open my hands and surrender and walk through this day saying, Lord, this is my plan, but let me be open to what you have. And how can you use me and my business? How can it be for your glory, not for mine?
So good.
Yeah, that is beautiful. I love it, because I think, it's easy to get lost in all the, busyness of life, of our career, of what's trending on social media. And instead, I just love the simple phrase, like, am I pointing people back, to Jesus? I think that's so powerful, because then it becomes a filter, right? For how we show up, for what we do, for our actions, the people we surround ourselves with. It's just, that's really powerful. Well, Cherisse, thank you so much. This has been such a blessing. It has filled up my cup for sure. And I know everyone listening is going to say the exact same thing. And I would love for you to share, if anyone is wanting to connect with you, how can they get in touch with you and follow you on social media?
Absolutely. You can find me on social media, Cherisse Hixson. And also in a few weeks, can I tell him, Monique?
Yes.
In a few weeks, they can find me on my podcast that I am launching at the end of March. So excited. It's called Rhythms That Restore. And it's just really a beautiful place for women to press play and to show up and to be restored. And it's just a community of women that are saying, I want to be able to press pause. I want to be able to be refreshed. I want a place where I can come and just show up as my full self and fill my cup up so I can go back and pour into everybody else in my life.
Oh, that is so beautiful. And I had no idea. And I'm so excited to listen myself. This is so exciting. Congratulations. That's awesome.
Thank you.
Very fun. Well, thank you again for being with us today. I know everyone will be blessed, and we're just going to keep cheering you on. We're proud of what you've done for this industry, through this industry, and just excited to see what's next for you and your business.
Thank you, guys. This has been amazing.
Thanks so much for listening to the Kingdom Minded Mompreneur. If you loved what you heard today, could you stop and give us a 5-star rating and review? It helps our visibility on podcasting platforms so others like you can hear more of this message.
Also, if this episode encouraged you, we would love for you to pass it along to your own biz bestie and anyone else who could benefit. Lastly, don't forget that if you want to hang out with us just a little bit more, join us inside the Kingdom Minded Mompreneur community. Click the link in the show notes. Bye for now.